Good morning. Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me, and Tom, thanks for inviting me. I'm Belinda Brooks, and I got a crash course in heroin and opiate understanding about 3 years ago. My 22-year-old daughter is a heroin addict, and she started on the pills about 6 years ago. And as soon as I found out that she was doing the opiates, and I started to figure that out, she had already quickly moved over to heroin. So I started to understand all about addiction the hard way as a parent. And while I went through that process, we reside in Wood County. She actually resides in Lucas County. So I got the whole gamut of 2 different counties too with her. And it was probably, as a parent, the hardest thing I've ever had to witness and go through in my entire life, watching your child basically kill themselves on drugs. She's still alive right now, but she's a heavy user, and probably one of the hardest things I've learned in this process is that you can't fix it as a parent. You have to wait for them to understand that they have to fix it, and it's taken me a long time to understand that. And going through that with her in Lucas County, she has a child too, so I am now the happy owner of my grandson. I have full custody of him, which is a great thing. He's a happy little 3-year-old right now. But going through this process with Children's Services in Lucas County and drug court, another first-time rodeo for me, it was all so overwhelming. I didn't really quite understand the magnitude of what we were going through. And at the time, Children's Services kept referring me. I kept asking, is there any support groups for this? Because, about 3 months into it, I thought I was going to lose it, and they kept referring me to AA. So I went ahead and went to the AA meetings, and they were at the local hospital here in Toledo, and we were Saturday night. I was there, basement, the sweetest ladies you ever want to meet. We'd have coffee and talk, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't. Swapping out alcohol for drugs just didn't really fit what we were going through. Raising a grandchild, going through a drug addiction with a daughter, and then just the whole emotional roller coaster. You guys are in this field. You know what they do when they want drugs. There's a lot of layers that you go through with this. So as I went through this whole process, I realized quickly I needed to get some therapy. So I went to a trauma therapist for about 10 months, and it was probably the best thing I did, because she taught me all about the 3 C's. That I didn't cause it, I can't control it, and I'm not going to cure it. So with that in mind, about a year later, I decided to start my own support group because there was nothing out there. So I got a hold of the GAP network through the state of Ohio, through the Drug Force, the Drug Free Alliance Network, and I started Solace at Northwest Ohio, and I started holding meetings at Bay Park Hospital on Saturdays, which we weren't getting very many people because, as you know, it was really hard to get people to come to something new, and lo and behold, the Opiate Task Force was holding a meeting last year, back in November. They were having their very first town hall meeting, and I got the flyer, and I contacted Lori Lewandowski to find out more about this, because I thought, wow, this is interesting. I need to get some more information. So I got a hold of Lori and came to an Opiate Task Force, and I seen all these providers were, at this table, and I thought, this is kind of crazy. I'm having a meeting at a hospital asking people to come to me. Why don't I have my meetings at the providers' offices? The patients aren't there. Why don't I go there? So I talked with the Adams board and said, do you mind if I do this? And I went to the providers, and they said no. So right now, I changed my way of thinking, and now I'm holding all my meetings at different locations. So right now we have 7 meetings a month with Solace at all different providers in Wood and Lucas County, and now we're starting to get quite a few people coming. Because one thing I found out that it is extremely important for family members to stay supportive of their addicts. And when I say supportive, I don't mean enabling, because that was probably the second thing I needed to find out that I was doing very, very wrong. I thought I was helping my child, but really I was enabling her. The simplest things, just by keeping her cell phone on was terrible, that was just allowing her to get a hold of her drug dealers and do the things that she probably shouldn't have been doing. So as I was, progressing with what I needed to do in counseling and things and realizing it, I was realizing that I was enabling. And parents don't realize that we're doing this, until we figure it out. And just like addicts have rock bottoms, a parent has a rock bottom too, until we figure out where our rock bottom is. And I don't want to say we have to cut our addicts off, but we have to get to a point where we need to stop enabling them and emotionally separate ourselves from them. And there's a way to do that, and I finally figured it out, to where we can love our addict, support them, but we have to separate it, because if you let your addict control your life, they definitely will destroy your life, because they're destroying their life unless they get help. So I made it a point to turn my life around, and I thought, I'm going to start educating other parents on the fact that they need to educate themselves on opiate and heroin abuse and the help that's available. We have a tremendous amount of help and resources in Wood County and Lucas County, and when your addict is ready to get help, we need to know all of the facilities and who does what, and when they're ready, then we can get them into the place where they need to get the help. And that's what a parent's role needs to be. So that's what we do now, is we educate, and we're there for support, and the parents love it, and now they come to the meetings and they are the ones doing all the talking. So it's kind of neat that they kind of help each other out. And there's more to it, Once I started doing this, I didn't realize how many parents were out there. So, because they're not talking. I didn't think this is a bigger epidemic than we even think. A lot of parents are still so ashamed that their kids are addicts, and they're not talking yet. So hopefully the more educating that we do, the more the stigma will go away, because these are good kids that make bad decisions. I've seen all types of kids, great kids. So I think the more we get it out there, we need to get rid of the stigma. So hopefully with education we can do that. So I think that's all I got to say. Thank you.